I'm joined by Nadine Cino, CEO and co-inventor of TygaBox. Thank you so much for joining me, Nadine.
Daniel, thank you so much for inviting me. It's really a pleasure to be with you and to be able to share some of the passion and enthusiasm I feel for sustainable behaviors and products that really support that.
Oh,
I think
awesome.
that, just as an additional thought on that, I know a lot of people think that they're going to do something to save the planet. I just want to say that the planet doesn't need any saving. The planet will take care of itself. It's us who has to really take a look at what are we doing to the planet, because it's our own ecosystem that we can't support if we continue to do what we're doing.
I think
the planet will be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is a good point, and I'm really excited to hear more about exactly how you're doing it. In terms of, just to start, so we can get a bit of context of where you're taking this call from. Where are you right now? There's a lot of sunshine in the back, which looks very nice.
Oh, thank you. So we actually have an office in Manhattan, right by Bryant Park.
Okay.
So it's a beautiful green space, and I get to go out and enjoy that as much as I can when it's nice weather.
Yeah, that's really nice to be able to have some time with nature during the workday. It's really cool.
Indeed.
So
Yeah.
what I really loved about TygaBox, aside from the name, is the fact that over the last 25 years, as I just found out, actually, you've saved over 100 million trees from being converted into corrugated boxes. So that's a lot of trees. That's like a lot of trees. So a corrugated box, first of all, what is it exactly?
Well, okay, I think it's so commonly understood what it is that when you break it down into the elements, it's basically pulp from trees. It's got to start out originally with a virgin tree that's cut down specifically to make a cardboard box. And if you take a look at what is the journey of a tree after it's been cut down, it's usually floated down river in logs for quite some time. Then it gets to a facility where it's kind of smushed and chopped up and made into paper pulp.
Mm-hmm.
And then what they do is they actually separate some of the slurry so that part of it becomes the inside wiggly corrugate. And then on the outsides of it, you get the paper board.
Mm-hmm.
So now imagine you're this virgin tree and you were just cut down and you get squished and and all this happens usually on the Northwest. Now, how did TygaBox start? Because here on the Northeast, I got everything I deserved when I hired the low price mover,
right,
who ripped us off for thousands of dollars of extra money for cardboard boxes, which back in 1991, I had no alternative but to incinerate because there was no municipal recycling in place at the time.
Wow.
So I literally burned my money like right in front of me, thousands of boxes going into the incinerator. So part of me you've learned about is there's the Italian side of me. The other side of me is Cuban. So now I'm Cuban, Italian, all Latin, and you know how easily Latina ladies can get into a snit. And that was me. So at the incinerator, I start ranting about how somebody ought to have a business where you could rent a reusable plastic box as an ecological alternative to cardboard. And then the rest is history.
So that's that's a really great way of introducing the whole thing, is really just the fact that, well, you had this problem. So thousands of dollars of boxes, that sounds like it was a corporate move.
You would think so. It wasn't. It was I did have my design studio, so there was a lot of things in my design studio. At the end of the day, though, it was just your basic unscrupulous mover.
Yeah.
No garden variety crook.
It's a shame because there's no need for that. But so there's kind of two things there. First of all, there's the financial side of saving money, obviously, and not being taken advantage of, and then this whole thing of saving hundreds, well, almost like 100 million trees.
Correct.
And so how are you saving those trees? What are you doing instead of these boxes?
Okay. So cardboard boxes tend to be single use, and sometimes they get reused 2 or 3 times before they're thrown away. And then the only non-landfill approach to a cardboard box is to recycle it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, coming purely from an environmental perspective and a sustainability perspective, recycling is actually not such a great idea either. When you take a look at the amount of fossil fuel, chemicals, and processing electricity to reprocess these things, it's sometimes a negative.
Yeah.
And you'll see that reading some reports from municipalities all across the country, many of them are canceling their recycling programs simply because they're unaffordable.
Interesting.
And so recycling is really not the panacea that is believed to be. In fact, reuse is far, far, far more efficient.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, if you take a look at the 3 R's, it's reduce, then reuse, then finally recycle.
Correct.
They're in order.
They're in order, except as Americans, we tend to ignore the reduce part.
Yeah.
That sort of doesn't fit in our framework of what life is supposed to be about. So then reuse becomes the most efficient form of environmental behavior.
Mm.
And in many ways it is, because you're not using any energy to convert it to be anything else. All you're doing is just reusing the same thing. So from an investor standpoint, right? You make the investment of energy in the product the one time, and then you can reuse it, in the case of TygaBox, over 25 years and counting. And I will tell you that we built it to last, and even I'm kind of impressed with how long it's lasting, because I can look at people who are only, graduating college, and I can say to them, I've got TygaBoxes that are older than you are.
Wow. So you actually have these boxes. You still have the first ones that are being used, the very first ones ever made?
Yeah, we do.
And that was, so you said 25 years ago? So that was 1995.
Yep.
Wow. That's incredible. So, and I mean, what are they made from that makes them last so long?
Well, so they're made of high density polyurethane.
Okay.
Actually, polyethylene. And what it is it's a plastic copolymer. We chose it because it's very, very lightweight and extremely durable.
Clearly.
And because when we were inventing this and designing it, if you look at a lot of the moving equipment, it's kind of masculine, it's kind of clunky. So when you look at offices, particularly back in the 90s, the people who were packing these offices were women. They were secretaries.
Yeah.
And it was pretty gender unfriendly right? So I represented, and forgive me for saying this, but it's a throwback. I represented the nails and hair contingent, because women do not want to break their nails moving boxes around. We didn't want to do it then, and I'm telling you, we don't want to do it now either. So I made sure that TygaBox was always less than 10 pounds, irrespective of the component, whether it was the box or the dolly, so that it would be gender friendly and ergonomic and easy to use.
It's good. It's I think it goes beyond the gender as well. I mean, just for what about people, who have a bad back, or like their wrist is sore, for example, and they can't lift heavy things. It helps with all of that as well. If it's light, I mean, you're avoiding a lot of potential other issues as well from a health standpoint.
That is all true. However, what is the real key to TygaBox's success? As we mentioned, it's a 2-piece component system. It's the box plus the dolly.
Right.
Now, because we made our dolly unlike any other dolly that's out there, where we actually made it completely bottomless. So 1, it wouldn't be stolen if it was left on site for weeks before the move. 2, by reimagining the way to transport stuff, right? Instead of a horizontal plane, which is what a typical dolly is, it's a horizontal plane and you put stuff on top of it.
Right. Yep.
TygaBox, because it's completely bottomless, is nothing but a framework of external suspension bridges, if you will.
Okay.
It completely is a vertical suspension system supporting the boxes above it with a tongue and groove interface. And so with our system, because the dolly is on hand at the time of packing, no one ever lifts a box unless it's empty. That was the real change in the process.
Wow. So
And
what you're doing is,
that, yeah, it's that piece of being able to pack directly to the dolly and never lift a box unless it's empty. That's what made it possible for us to stack 5 high versus
I
cardboard,
see.
which can stack only 3 high.
That's
Right. And I
cool.
can see by your face, you got the math. Now you know how we reduce the cost of moving by 30%, no matter what.
That's amazing because, I mean, you're basically just, you got more space.
Of course, you
'Cause
have
it goes,
40% more contents on each footprint.
yeah. So
And yeah,
on your website, and the sort of, I'd like to just share the screen here so that we can see it, because this is, and I don't know if I hope you can see
yeah,
it, but you're probably familiar with your website, and you standing on your dolly here. So
correct.
this is the dolly. I mean, it's basically a square with wheels, and that's what you mean by it's bottomless. I mean, you can see there that it's like you said, it's like a framework, and here are the boxes stacked on it. So when you say that you only lift a box when it's empty, you're literally taking one of these empty boxes that's on the left, you then put it into the dolly with it open, you
Correct.
start putting stuff in there. When you're done, close it, and then you put the next one on top.
That is correct.
It makes so much sense.
Right. And that's why when you were saying people lifting heavy boxes, it's like, yeah, no, not with our system.
Yeah, that it literally
Right.
does not exist. And
No,
and then I see, and then you unpack it the exact same way. You just take the stuff out,
you
remove the
got
empty
it.
box. What is this? You mentioned also when you were just speaking, but and it says that here again. What does it mean, low theft?
Okay. So here's what happened. Because we were outsiders, remember, I came from the apparel industry,
Okay.
and my co-founder and co-inventor, Marty Spindell,
Yeah.
came from a law firm background.
Mm-hmm.
He worked with a prestigious firm in New York, helping George Soros make international philanthropic grants to Eastern Europe to help Eastern Europe get back on the feet after its fall of communism. So you couldn't pick two people who knew less about moving than Marty and I. And because we were outliers, we asked dumb questions.
The important
And
questions.
the answers to those questions were the opportunity to invent TygaBox.
Yeah.
And here's why. We got a lot of customers showing them just a plain old plastic box. We didn't even have the dolly system fully thought out at that time, but we needed to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So because we lived downtown in Manhattan, at that time we were downtown in the financial district, and right across from us were the Twin Towers, the original ones. So back in 1993 and 94, the New York, New Jersey Port Authority was located there, and they were doing a large relocation. So we went in with our tubs, our plastic totes, and we ended up buying a separate dolly called, I forget what it was. It was some kind of red dolly. And we saw everybody, all this labor, packing a tote, then it's in the way, then they have to move a heavy box. They get it out of the way so they can keep packing, but now 2 boxes are in the way when they have to pack the next location. And then we saw the movers come in with their dollies and their big rush on Friday night to get all this stuff packed on dollies. And it was chaos. It was just utter chaos. And so we looked at the movers and we said, listen, all this work, on average, somebody picks up a heavy box 4 times before it ever gets on the dolly at origin. Why not bring your dollies 2 weeks ahead of time of the move so people could pack directly to the dolly? They'd never have to lift a box then.
Right.
And that's when the movers looked at us as if we had just landed from Mars. Because what they said was, it's like, no way. First of all, I was a lady in a man's, I mean, like, picture moving, right? 1990 something, right? Okay, great. 5'2". So I really fit the mold. But in any event, really the reason is financial for them. If they were to bring dollies 2 weeks ahead of time, because the typical dolly is an all-purpose dolly,
Right.
their concern is that it would be stolen in large quantities before the move even started, and then they wouldn't have enough equipment to actually do the move.
Not to mention they'll have to buy new dollies.
Of course, and then there's all the profits that go down the drain. So you see, they had a very valid point, and that's what caused us to envision a dolly that had no bottom. Because if it has no bottom, it can't be used to move anything
it's
else.
useless. It's just a square thing on wheels, really. Yeah.
Completely. That was the opportunity.
So that's cool. So how does it, I mean, how does it know when it's, two questions. First of all, the shorter one, I suppose, is each stack of 5 boxes has its own dolly.
Correct.
Okay, got it. So basically, if there's like 200 boxes, you'll have 40 dollies.
Correct.
5 on each. Okay, cool. That makes sense now. And then how does it know when it's ready to go? I mean, why doesn't it? Oh, I see. But wait a second. You're standing on the dolly. It's no tip. So how does it not move?
Oh, it's easy because the wheels are exterior to the load like a Ferrari, right? So good race cars always have wheels at very wide wheelbase,
Right.
and their center of gravity is very low. A typical platform dolly, the wheels are underneath the load.
That's true. Yeah.
And that's why it tips. But once you position the wheels exterior to the load, which is what we had to do in order to make it bottomless, the added benefit that we didn't even know about, but just kind of came about, is that it never tips. So when you think about people who are moving, first of all, there's hardly anybody in a company that's excited about, oh, golly, I get to move today. Yippee, right? So they hate moving. They want to get it done as quickly as possible, and they don't want to learn anything about it. They just want to do it and get it done. Since these people will not be trained in how to move safely and properly, the best thing that a corporation can do is supply its employees with equipment that is fail-safe. In other words, it's irrelevant how you use it, it's still not going to tip. You don't have to be careful.
Yeah, makes sense. Safety first by not having to worry about it in the first place.
Right. So it mitigates risk. So from the employer's standpoint, not only does it reduce the cost of moving by a whopping 30%, but it actually is more ergonomic and it's safer for their employees to use, encouraging the employees now they can self-pack rather than have the movers pack everything. And of course, there isn't a mover in America who's going to like what I'm going to say next. However, it reduces moving labor.
Right.
Because they're not packing every single box. Now the customer can do it themselves.
Because it's easy.
It's easy.
Yeah.
And besides which, we built file rails into our boxes because once we realized we had to design our own, we figured let's put the kitchen sink in it.
Yeah.
Why don't we make it like a movable file cabinet? Five drawer lateral filing cabinets was the single most popular filing cabinet size back then in the 90s. And so our goal was to keep everything organized from the standpoint of, if I could pack an entire file cabinet in a single stack, what would that do to reducing employee downtime?
Yeah.
Right? Cardboard with 2 stacks of mishmash stuff, nobody knows where anything is, right? It takes a long time to unpack. And what we found is that we were able to reduce hours of employee downtime to 10 minutes. Because everything was in the right order for unpacking.
Yeah. I can, like file folders. I mean, I've even just at home, I mean, I've moved a couple of times and more than a couple of times, several times. And it's so difficult to just keep track of your papers because you end up putting them, they're always, you organize everything this way, you're looking through it, you're like, okay, this is all my stuff. Then you take it and you flip it over, you pop it down, and it instantly slides. and there's not enough space for anything. Well, I mean, there's too much space in a box for paper, so it kind of like slides everywhere, and then you're like, well, I guess I'll deal with that on the other side. And then, yeah.
Yeah. So for two reasons, we built in the file rails so you could just go from drawer to box, and not have the paper slide out of that file folder when it hits the bottom, because it never hits the bottom. It stays suspended. Now, there are people who just want to pack to the floor of the box. And for them, because I hated having to have 4 arms in order to be able to pack and stop those papers from sliding, right? We built little speed bumps on the bottom of the box. And speed bumps help to prevent the file folders from slipping, even if you pack them to the floor of the box.
Wow. Very clever.
Yeah.
So you've thought of it all. And that's the benefit of inventing it yourself.
Yes, indeed.
So each one of these boxes made from plastic, you have boxes that are 25 plus years old, so they can be reused about 2,000 times, you were saying.
2,000, I mean, who knows? And, somebody after I go into wherever you go into in an afterlife can still keep track of how many times we reuse this box, I mean, they're pretty indestructible. Why don't I see if I could just turn the camera around here and give you a flavor for, I'm just going to manually turn the camera and just show you the boxes here. Let's see, are they in view?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
I see the top.
You can see a stack of, I'm sorry. Okay, this is a selfie. All right, so good. So can you see TygaBoxes? Does it look like a wall of gray plastic?
Yes, now I see it. There we go. Okay.
So I'm kind of going up and down.
Yep.
And here we are down at the bottom, dolly. Now, you can see everything is nice and uniform and standard and everything like that.
Yep.
What happens is let's just say a box gets roughed up in the field and maybe a lid breaks. Well, a lid can be replaced because we built everything modular. So all we need to do to save that box is just remove this lid off the hinge pin, put a new lid on, and then the box continues to serve for as long as its useful life. So yeah, Legos, kids, right? Everything is a component. And then if you take a look at what we do, even when the boxes are kind of beat up and can't be rented anymore because they're just a little too worn, we donate them to the Queen's Botanical Garden so they can use them for compost or whatever else it is that they want to use it for within the gardens. So they make great compost tubs.
Yeah, they look perfect for so many different things, just holding stuff.
Especially when you're having a party. It's great for beer and wine.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, man, that must be very easy for you to plan those kind of parties at your office then, if there's boxes everywhere. So the other thing is that because they can be reused so many times, and this is how we get to 100 million trees, that you were saying that each TygaBox can save about 36 trees during its lifespan.
Correct. And so because the idea was so popular because companies saved money, right? So talking about sustainability, it's green. So is money, interestingly enough, right?
There you go.
So for corporations, the green they were most concerned about was the green in their wallet. For us as a company, it was kind of, you don't really compel anybody's behavior, but it was certainly a powerful carrot to convert them to a sustainable behavior. And so basically the formula is one tree produces about 55 moving boxes. And so if you're reusing a TygaBox 2,000 times or whatever, however many you are, every 55 uses is the equivalent of a tree.
Got it.
And because we have rented hundreds, oh my God, well, by now the rentals are in the millions, but we've also produced, as a company, we've produced well over 1 million TygaBoxes, not only for use in our own rental fleet, but also moving companies who have purchased them from us and have them customized in their name. So it won't say TygaBox's name on it. It'll say Mover ABC on it. And those boxes are out in the world every single day moving companies. And so if you figure you've got one TygaBox being reused at least 2 or 3 times a week, you can see how that adds up quickly.
Very quickly indeed.
Right. And then because reuse is like compounding interest to a loan officer, except it benefits the environment, right? You can see how quickly the impacts grow. And that's what excites us about TygaBox, is that, all of this opportunity created from the simple reuse of a commodity box. And so that's the other thing. So talk about business, right? A little bit. We knew that we had to price the rental of our boxes cheap enough so that it was comparable to a cardboard box. Right. So a cardboard box, let's just call it $3-4, whatever it is. Right. We had to be able to create a rental operation that allowed us to rent a box for $3-4, maybe $5 for the same period of time. And the only way we could actually really get the benefit of our investment in the boxes is to make sure they last a really, really long time.
Makes sense.
Right. Because that's the compounding opportunity for revenue for TygaBox.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about the reuse aspect, and that's actually kind of a bigger general point is the plastic in general, because plastic is it's easy to vilify plastic, especially if you're looking at it as single use. Plastic is bad, and everyone hates plastic. And yes, there's a lot of plastic pollution, especially in the oceans and all of that. But interestingly enough, you're actually saving the environment by using plastic because of its durability and its strength. And I think it just goes to show that plastic is a really great material if used responsibly and if used correctly, rather than using something that can last forever, because that's what plastic is all about, is durability and it's easy to mold, rather than using it to make a fork that's used once, or something for covering a banana, which has its own covering already.
Indeed, it does. Better than any plastic you can put on it.
Exactly, it's designed specifically for it.
Exactly. Daniel, that is such an interesting point. It is true. It's easy for a label like plastic to become vilified. And it's interesting because we actually now we're going back 10 years. In 2010, we were awarded Citigroup's Environmental Vendor of the Year.
Cool.
And as a result of kind of justifying why we're so environmentally useful to Citigroup, besides the millions of dollars they saved in moving costs, was the fact that I did an analysis on getting down to basic science. In chemistry, pretty much everything is measured in megajoules. So not to get too technical, but megajoule is a unit of energy.
Okay.
And I did an analysis. What is the units of energy it takes to make a cardboard box? What are the units of energy it takes to recycle that box? And how many boxes need to be made over a 25-year lifespan compared to the number of megajoules it takes to make a TygaBox one time?
Yep.
Just not even comparable, like, 1 billion to 1. It was just, again, I don't want to be held to that specific number. It might be something else, but in general, there's just no comparison. You make that investment one time and it just keeps reaping rewards. And so that's really the value from a sustainability perspective, is no materials are being consumed.
Absolutely. I think there's, and I was speaking to Tara Button in a previous episode. She's the creator of a website called Buy Me Once. And the whole thesis of their website is essentially invest in a high quality product so that it can last hopefully forever. Because and what she makes quite clear on her website is that a lot of the environmental impact, the negative environmental impact that we see, comes from creation of stuff, basically, whether it's, like you're saying, a box or an umbrella or anything like a car. I mean, literally anything. And so if you can reduce the amount of times something needs to be created by investing in a reusable product, then you end up reducing, going back to that third R, the number of things that need to be created in the first place, thereby reducing the environmental impact of creating stuff at all.
Oh, I completely agree. In fact, if you just take that and you look at it from a macroeconomic perspective, not only does it reduce the waste of planetary resources, whatever it might be, the cotton or whatever is being used, the cotton and wood, it's also the water for processing. It's also the fossil fuel for every single truck that has to be part of that supply chain to
from
get
the very beginning all the way to the very end.
It's ginormous. It's absolutely ginormous. So that's actually our goal, and our mission as a company is to make reuse a habit. Now, and as a follow-up, and I know we're not necessarily talking about TygaTrax, but I just want to add to that. So I just want to share with you, because I don't know how to change the view from selfie to something else on the Zoom thing, but I just want to show you something called TygaTrax. And basically what it is it's an RFID tracking tag that can keep track of anything anywhere in the world from your cell phone. But more importantly, because it has a motion sensor, we're able to tell how many times something is being used as compared to not. Now, beyond boxes, there's a whole world of stuff that is underutilized. And all we have to do is look at our corporate offices to see how many chairs are underutilized, how many desks, all that kind of stuff. Our goal with TygaTrax is to be able to put the RFID tag on all of the types of high volume, low asset value things that are used in our everyday life, and help companies and people keep track of their stuff so they utilize it more frequently and purchase it less. And so this is what a TygaTrax tag looks like. It's this tiny little thing that we've tucked. I don't know if I'm getting it right.
Not quite yet, I don't think.
No,
probably a little lower.
Here we go. It's tucked under the lip of.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, is that little black thing?
A little more. I think I see it. Oh yeah, there it is. Yep.
Okay. So we just tuck that underneath a box or a chair or anything, and we can keep track of it and tell you how much of the life expectancy has been utilized and how much has not. Now imagine we could advise corporations to stop wasting their financial resources, and it would benefit the planet because we'd stop wasting planetary resources.
Yeah.
That's the game we're playing today, taking that concept of reuse and expanding it to all the things that we use on a daily basis.
That's really cool. So, I mean, what are some of the things you mentioned? Chairs. What are some of the things that could be where you can add and I think TygaTrax, by the way, is a great name. What can you add this the RFID chip to?
Oh my goodness. So if you just take a look at a corporation or a university, universities have tons of lab equipment.
Yeah.
Besides basic furniture. So all of that furniture, in every situation, you've got furniture. But in certain places you have lab equipment. Other places you have a lot of AV equipment. Look at airports. Look at how many times, I mean, they have wheelchairs and all kinds of other things that need to be kept track of.
Yeah.
Municipalities have emergency equipment. I'm telling you, people don't know where their stuff is. What about home care, where there are organizations that are renting equipment to people who need special care at home? Half this stuff gets lost. You know, they've lost airplanes. I mean, there have been reports about organizations losing airplanes. So, I mean, you know, it's easy to understand why we would lose a chair.
Yeah.
Even if it's a wheelchair. But it's the reuse from an environmental point of view, but it's also consider the waste of time, right? You're at an airport and somebody can't find a wheelchair for this passenger who's boarding your flight. And then what happens? Your flight's delayed. But worse yet, it's delayed to the point where some of the other passengers can't make their connecting flights. What's the cost to the airline for, you know what I'm saying? It just, there's so much here. It's such a rich gold mine. And all we really need to do is just reuse the stuff more efficiently. And we could save a lot of time and resources.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is really important, especially if you're buying more stuff because you can't seem to find it. That comes back to our what we were talking about earlier. I mean, it ends up that means that more production, which is again environmental cost. And I mean, ultimately, I think, you know, from the point of view of a company, their motivation is, well, if we can't find our airplane and now we have to buy another one, then that's a huge motivation. I would say a motivator rather to invest in something so small that can save, in that case, millions of dollars. So
yes.
yeah, I mean, I think it's a really cool way. And so the way that you're using TygaTracks on the boxes specifically is, first of all, to keep track of where they are specifically, or how does it?
But more importantly, you see, on moving is one of those dynamic processes where stuff just gets lost, right? There's the plan, and then there's what really happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And oftentimes it's it resembles a circus, not for lack of planning, just because that's how it rolls.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of your customers are B2B, right? Like
Yes.
they're businesses, meaning.
Yeah, most of them are. So most of them are corporate end users or moving companies or
So you have,
but we are branching into B2C.
Okay, that's cool. But yeah, I mean, going back to the circus idea, you have all these employees wandering around, moving stuff. You have all of these movers, boxes and things everywhere.
Correct.
And someone puts some of their stuff in your box. Do you mind? I ran out of space, and oh man.
All that. It happens. I mean, what does a commercial mover have to do? A fairly hard task. Basically, no company wants to lose time of their employees. So they always want to be moved at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday. You got everything going through a choke point, which is the egress of the building, onto these moving trucks, trucking over to the other side, unpacking everything at destination and making sure everything is in order before Monday morning when people come back to work.
Yeah.
It's a huge flow of volume going through a lot of small choke points. So they don't have time to stay organized during the move. It's either organized before they get started or it's just a circus.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons the tracking system is in place, not only to help them stay organized through the move process, but oftentimes things get left behind inadvertently because it's relying on visual observation.
Yeah.
Wow.
You have that one person who's probably like the very last person to leave. I'm just going to make sure nothing's forgotten and something's in the shadow or someone put something on the side. And
right. We're all human. Somebody hid something. Somebody put 100 boxes in a supply closet and then locked it and left.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I've seen a lot of things. And the tracking system is really interesting. And I'll give you the most simple but powerful example. We had a situation where the mover was there on a Saturday. We were there with them with our TygaTracks boxes, and the freight elevator broke down. Okay. So when it's between floors, what you really care about is getting the people out of the elevator. Makes sense. That's what's important, right?
Absolutely.
In the frenzy, though, of crowbarring people out, obviously the boxes were left behind. Okay, so things returned to normal, whatever, but nobody noticed that the boxes were missing. So we're back at the destination, at the new location. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. These movers are just tired. They're ready to go home. And they're like, this is great. We're done. And I said, no, the system is showing that we have 113 boxes back at origin. And of course, it was the same old, no, can't be. I said, look, I'm telling you, I can't make this stuff up. The 113 boxes are back at Origin. And somebody finally got the bright idea, like, oh my God, maybe we forgot the boxes in the freight elevator after we crowbarred the people out. Sure enough, that's where they were.
Wow. And it's all just shown on an app.
Just shown on an app because the RFID is tracking everything.
That's amazing. Is there a battery in there that needs to be replaced?
Well, there again, too, because we knew we were working with commercial clients.
Yeah.
We knew that most of them don't use a 5 to 7 year depreciation schedule. So we engineered our tags custom designed for us in order for the battery to last 7 to 10 years.
Wow.
So we would exceed the standard 2-year battery life, and we'd never have to change a tag once it was placed on an asset, even if it was in some remote field, somewhere, right? Some remote location where nobody's going to check and replace batteries.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
And yeah. I'll tell you, as a business owner, I didn't want the expense.
Absolutely.
Right? I want to put a tag on it and call it good.
Yeah, exactly. Don't have to worry about it again. You can always just be sure that it's working. It's tracking what it needs to track.
Right. And I mean, we do have low battery signals if something should go low unexpectedly. But other than that, no, it's one and done. I like that model a lot.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, Nadine, this is, I think the work you're doing is so cool. I love the unique approach to an otherwise very big problem. As we're seeing, boxes end up cutting down a lot of trees. So I think the work you're doing is absolutely fantastic. So I'm just conscious of time here. So what one question I'd love to ask more as an inspiration is, what do you do in your personal life, like on a day-to-day basis, to be environmentally friendly?
Well, I reuse pretty much everything. So
That's awesome.
Long ago, I having come from the apparel industry, right? I mean, it was nothing at that point to drop, $3,000-$4,000 for designer this and designer that. I was in the industry.
Right.
I wasn't getting it wholesale, but it didn't matter. It was Dior or it was whoever, right? And in my day-to-day life, I have completely stopped buying new products, new apparel, new anything. And I love resale stores. I love the Salvation Army. And I don't think I've bought anything in my wardrobe for probably 2 decades.
Wow.
Outside of the Salvation Army. And obviously, when you need underwear, that's got to be new.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it's kind of sport shopping in a way. There's a mandate that when you donate it back, it's kind of fun to do that too, because then somebody else gets to have the same surprise and fun you did when you found it and bought it. So it just kind of keeps regenerating the love, and I really like that.
Yeah, that's one thing that buying used things, because it's you never know what you're going to get. So it's kind of like a process of discovery, and you're going on an adventure to find something. And when you do find it, it's so rewarding. It's so wonderful. Because you're like, I can't believe it. I got something that's like perfect.
Yes.
And it took some work and investment. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great, and it's cool because the shops like Salvation Army, and there's plenty of others. I'm based in London, so there's a lot of charity shops here. They're pretty small, but they're like each charity has its own shop, and whenever you buy something from there, the proceeds go to the charity that it's representing. And there's just so many fun things, and they're constantly, they check the quality, so it's going to be good stuff. It's not like torn or broken or anything. So
right, yeah,
you can be confident that nothing wrong with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool. And where can we learn more about TygaBox? So for anyone who might be interested in checking it out, or even using it for, you said that you're looking into going B2C, but if someone's listening to this and they represent a company and they're looking to move, how can they how can they get in touch or find the work you're doing?
Okay. So they can just go to TygaBox.com, TygaBox.com. And if they wanted to get a few of their own Tyga boxes, they can order directly online. If they want to make a rental, they can just send us an email, info@TygaBox.com, and we'll talk offline about rentals of Tyga boxes, because of course that's their main purpose.
Yeah.
Be reused multiple hundreds or thousands of times. And soon we'll be making some splash news about bringing Tyga tracks to the market, both on the B2B side as well as B2C. You said something before that was absolutely spot on. It's hard for people to get organized.
Right.
It's harder to stay organized. What Tyga Tracks does is it helps you not only get organized and stay organized, but it helps you stop wasting money buying stuff you already have and can't find.
Yeah, which is so
That's
frustrating,
it.
especially
Oh my God.
when you buy it and then a day later you find it.
Of course, that's always how it's going to work, right? I'll tell you, there are plenty of times when my 4-year-old self came out to play, if you know what I mean. Just like too frustrating.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So where can we, is there anywhere we can sign up to get those updates? So when Tyga Tracks is ready to go, that we can be the first to know?
Yeah. Just send an email to info@TygaBox.com and just say, keep me updated on Tyga Tracks. Done.
Easy.
Keep you on the list.
Awesome.
Yes. Super easy.
Thank you very much, Nadine. It was wonderful to talk to you. Love the work you're doing, and can't wait for you to reach the 200 million trees mark. So best of luck.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's what we're working towards.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear it.
Awesome.
Take care.
All right. Enjoy your day, and thanks for taking the time again.
Likewise. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, give us a 5-star rating. And also, please subscribe, whether on your podcast app or on YouTube. And that way you can be the first to know about new episodes. Thank you very much, and talk to you soon.